Hello and welcome to Coffee with Carey. Thank you. Thank you for stopping by today to see what's on the agenda. And today I wanted to talk about long distance relationships. There have been a few people I know of, some friends, some previous clients of mine who have opened up the door to being open to long distance relationship. There's a couple things you need to make sure of before you embark on this kind of journey. One is that this is a legitimate person and not a scam. But once you've passed that hurdle, how do you keep that going until you can meet up with this person, till you can use some fuzzy in here, until you can be face to face with this person and determine the chemistry and whether it's truly viable in the real world? How do you keep it going to get to that point if you're insisting on doing this long distance relationship? That's what we're talking about today. If that's interesting, that's what's up. Stick around. Statistically speaking, the odds of an enduring long distance relationship aren't great. It's not an ideal situation, but sometimes it's just a necessity. And if that's the case for you, I wanted to give you some tips on how to maneuver with this long distance relationship if you insist, and keep it interesting, keep learning about this person, and truly have it be a growing relationship. I would be remiss, one of my favorite words, if I did not mention to you yet again that this relationship cannot be someone that you have never met, who is living overseas and has fallen in love with you super quickly because you are super gorgeous and the kindest person they've ever not met. That's called a dating scam or a romance scammer, and you really need to avoid that at all costs, because that's not how real relationships begin. They don't begin by two people not meeting each other, not knowing each other, not having a plan, and being loved bombed by somebody who's fallen for you so quickly that the alarm bells must be going off, because you know that that can't be how relationships work in the real world. So check in with yourself. Confirm that this is a real person. You've done your due diligence. You've checked this person out. You maybe know who they are. Ideally, this relationship is with somebody you know, you've met. You've started a relationship, but unfortunately, distance has come to challenge you both in this relationship while you're in the growing, getting to know you stage. Ideally, that's where we're at, not a relationship with a person that you've never met in person. Because for me, that's alarm bells going off. And I hope it is for you, and that you will make sure that you are safe and not being taken advantage of. In fact, I'm going to put an episode right here, and after you finish watching this one, please promise me you will go and watch my episode on dating scams if you've not already seen it. Promise me that. Promise. Promise? Okay. Now it's funny because I mentioned this to my daughter that I was going to do this episode, and I wondered if she had any thoughts on the subject that I hadn't thought about that I could share with you. And she said she thought that long distance relationships are the easiest relationships. She thought it was easier because she just thought it's probably easier to create intimacy without having to be with a person, because it's more surface, more simple if it's just kept at the level of communicating in the way that we do through a screen. It doesn't have to get super real or get scary, or it doesn't challenge you to continue to find cool things to do out in the world. There's lots of reasons that it could be considered even easier than having to date somebody in the real world and show up for that. But if you insist on having a long distance relationship, and you think it's a little bit challenging to continue to grow this and get to know this person and develop intimacy, I've got a couple ideas for you, and here they are. Play games. Never have I ever. 20 questions. Doing things simultaneously while your phone is going is great, and games would be one of those. You can be very creative and have board games, etc., phone games, question games. And I really like the question ones because that allows you to continue to get to know somebody. And there is a list of questions I will mention as we continue on here. I'm speaking of ones that are more playful here, not the list of questions that were developed to create intimacy. That's a no-brainer. Of course, that's going to be on my list. But this is a more playful way of questioning one another and definitely worth a shot. Number 2, if it's a long day of talking, say it's a weekend and you spend quite a bit of time on the phone or video chatting on the computer or phone, I just want you to know that people actually do binge watch shows together while they're just hanging out on a FaceTime call or a phone call. So having a discussion about it afterwards is another way to gauge somebody's opinion, talking throughout. Some people think that's annoying. Some people don't mind that at all and talk in between, or you can always pause to discuss. But do you enjoy the same shows? Do you enjoy the same movies? You can watch together even though you're not in the same room or the same town, the same state even. When we were talking about games, did I mention drinking games or card games or strip poker? Number 3, super fun to be thoughtful and show how much you've learned about this person and that you know what they would like by sending care packages. You can either do it to surprise them, or you can make a game of it and each say that you're going to spend this much money, you can't spend more than this, or set up whatever rules around this and send each other some gifts to show that you've been listening and paying attention, and these are going to be things that they've mentioned or that you've learned and figured out that they would enjoy. So gift giving, and it doesn't have to be expensive, is another way to gain intimacy in a long distance relationship. And nobody does not love getting mail, and everybody adores getting a care package. I don't care if you baked cookies and sent a book you talked about, or made a mix CD, or made a list of all your favorite movies. Care packages are awesome. Now I guess I'll mention that list of questions. I have the list in my phone. We don't have to go through them, but all right, here it is. 35 questions that lead to love. Arthur Aron, A-R-O-N. That's what I was looking for. It's 35 questions. They become more intimate, more personal as they go along. And it is said that if you are to sit across from someone, even if there's a video screen in between you, and go through these questions in a thoughtful manner, learning about your partner, that by the end of this, you've upped the ante on intimacy and you will be in love. Is it worth a try? Probably, especially in a long distance relationship. You could certainly do some of these or bring one out. I recommend a couple of them as a conversation starter on a first date. Not a whole list, but 1 or 2 if you get stuck on a first date. It's nice to have these questions. Look them up at least and see if you think that they would be interesting and help you become more fond of somebody if they were answering these questions for you. A-R-O-N. And then number 5, my final tip here would be to create fun outdoor dates, going to do something. We have the gift of video chatting now. I mean, I don't know how I ever would have survived one of my children living in other states. I remember one going off to live in another country with the Peace Corps and being so grateful that we had video chats. We used Skype at the time to be able to hang out in the same room. But nowadays, you don't even have to be in the same room. You can take your phone out with video, prop it up anywhere while you're doing something out and about. I take my daughter shopping. I was looking for baby clothes for our new baby, showing her, had the phone and showing her the clothes. This is on clearance. Do you think we need these? You can do a million things anywhere in the world, out in your neighborhood, and have somebody with you via your cell phone on video. We used to set up our computers in the room and cook dinner or clean or do whatever we had to be doing, and it felt like we were spending time together while she was across the world. Now it's so much easier to leave the room, leave your house, and bring this person with you on any type of adventure you can think of. So you want to go for a picnic? You want to go bowling? Do you want to go hear some live music somewhere outdoors, a summer concert? You can bring your person with you via your cell phone, and FaceTime or Skype or WhatsApp, any of the apps that have video will do, and you can date. So if you have gone through this before and you have transitioned from a long distance relationship to a in-person, real life romance, we, especially the people stopping by here to figure out how to keep their long distance relationship alive, would love to hear from you in the comments section. I hope you found this helpful. If you did, give the episode a thumbs up, and if you would subscribe to my channel, that would be great. Really helps me out here in keeping my channel going. And then the ring bell is in case you want to be notified every time I upload a new episode. So if that's interesting to you, the ring bell. Thanks for stopping by today. I truly appreciate it. I look forward to seeing you next time. And until then, have a good one.